That's strangely close to Daniel Jones from the Giants. Daniel, is that you? Beat the Chiefs. Show me. If the Broncos and Russell Wilson can show me that they can beat the Chiefs, then I will start believing.
The crowd up. And so are this defense, and Kansas City won't snap the ball again. The Denver Broncos have beaten the Kansas City Chiefs.
David Montgomery on the Lions, former Bear, gotta make this his revenge game for sure. David Montgomery gets the touchdown that ices the game. No! And there's a flag. There's flags. There's flags. There's flags. There's flags. Snap. Hold. Kick.
Denver wins! Denver wins! Let's go!
They open. No!
What happened? Oh shit.
Yo, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to the only football podcast tonight. Bo Nix has been named the Denver Broncos starting quarterback. So you know Kyle is just fully at attention right now. Bo Nix is the Broncos quarterback. We're going to be talking about that. We're going to be talking about projections, both best and worst case scenario for offensive rookies this year. And of course, we're going to end it all off with the chives with Kyle. Oh, let's get it. America is football. Football is
America. If you don't like it, you can kiss your candy ass. For the moment in time, I don't give a damn. Oh my god!
No!
You loved it.
30-27. Chiefs win. Chiefs win 30-20. Woo! Kyle. Let's go.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a special edition of the Only Football Podcast. My name is Bo, and my name is Kyle, and that's Rick.
I'm Bo, and that's Nix.
Bo Nix is going to be the starting quarterback for the Denver Broncos. You might notice that I'm wearing a jersey. It is a Patrick Surtain throwback Denver Broncos jersey. Look how fluorescent this is. When I was a kid, I used to go to the skate station and get grinded on by hotties in middle school. And they would have this room that was pitch black with black lights. And if you were wearing white, you were fluorescent. I feel like this jersey would smash inside a black light type of room, if you're catching my drift. What's so cool about this jersey is that these jerseys haven't been worn by the Denver Broncos since John Elway was the Denver Broncos quarterback.
My God.
And Rick, Bo Nix is going to be the first quarterback since John Elway to start as a rookie his first year for the Denver Broncos. What will Bo Nix be? Those are big shoes to fill. But I also saw a post that somebody said, Will Bo Nix be the best quarterback the Broncos have ever drafted? And everybody was like, chill out. And I said, okay, all right. I want everybody to listen very carefully. Bo Nix is already the best quarterback the Denver Broncos have ever drafted. And you might be thinking, What the hell are you talking about, dude? What kind of Rocky Mountain stuff are you smoking? This is the fact. John Elway was not drafted by the Denver Broncos. Who is this competition? Everyone's freaking out about this statement. Who is it? Tim Tebow? Is it Brock Osweiler? Is it Paxton Lynch? Like what are the quarterbacks that Bo Nix is up against? Let's just be real. Bo Nix is already the best Denver Broncos quarterback they've ever drafted. And Jay Cutler? I mean, yeah, but I think Bo Nix is going to be better than Jay Cutler. No, I mean, you're not wrong. Jay Cutler was the best quarterback Denver's ever drafted. I'll say that.
Mhm. Mhm.
Brian Greasy, all right, but
Yeah,
there's
not
never
bad.
been that guy for the Denver Broncos as far as the quarterbacks that they've drafted. And then Sean Payton, for the first time in his career,
Mhm.
drafts a rookie quarterback. He never did it in New Orleans. He got a trade with Phillip Rivers and Drew Brees.
Yep.
Here's the thing. Sean was really high on Drew Brees when people weren't really high on Drew Brees. And he was
Mhm.
also getting ready to draft Mahomes when the Chiefs moved up right in front of the Saints and drafted Mahomes. What do we know about Sean Payton? One of the best offensive minds in the league. And he was right about the quarterbacks that he did either attempt to draft or the ones that he has acquired. I mean, he's
Yep.
2 for 2. Bo Nix, 3 for 3. Sean Payton gets it. He
Here we go.
understands what he wants out of his quarterback. He said the Broncos were going to have their own evaluation. They're going to go through their own process. That doesn't involve everything that Curb Street and all those guys are doing. No, it consists of Sean Payton emptying backpacks and trying to figure out who is the man behind the pads, not just Bo Nix, the football player, Bo Nix, the man. And what we found is that Bo Nix is a pro's pro. He carries himself. He is wise behind his ears. All of the people on the facility have been saying, what do the veterans think of Bo Nix? And they were like,
Mhm.
they can't believe how he carries himself. Something that they say they haven't seen since Patrick Surtain was drafted. Somebody that comes in that pro ready and just leads this team. Then today they asked Joe Lombardi, our offensive coordinator, who doesn't call the plays, but still an important position. They asked Joe Lombardi, has Bo Nix's has his demeanor changed in any way since he was drafted? He said, not at all. I
Mhm.
mean, he was this guy all along. That's why he was named the starter. So
Mhm.
yeah, I mean, he's been doing the things that he's been doing all along, and we like those things. But no, Bo Nix is the same guy. Um, and when Bo Nix went into his press conference as the Denver Broncos quarterback, see, here's the thing. Sean Payton told Bo Nix privately as they were walking out to practice. So Bo Nix got to know when he didn't have a phone, he couldn't text his family or his wife. He just had to go out there, and this is what Bo said, Sean said, you're going to be our starting quarterback. Now let's go have a good practice. And that was it. And Bo Nix went out there and apparently had his best practice of this entire offseason. So we come back in. Sean Payton's ready to meet with the press. The press asks him, about actually, they didn't ask him a single question. He opened up by saying that the military was here today. It was awesome to see those guys get that kind of access. Over 100 active duty members were on the Broncos practice field, meeting
Nice.
with players and stuff like that. And then Sean went right into it. Bo Nix is going to be the starting quarterback for the Denver Broncos. You guys have been really patient. I understand the sense of urgency on your side, but there was a process that we needed to go through internally, and we went through that process, and Bo Nix came out on top. Not a
Mhm.
surprise to anybody that's been watching or following along at least a little bit. We all knew this was going to happen. Then Bo Nix comes in to the press conference next. Dude, I don't know if this guy's a serial killer or what. This guy didn't crack a smirk, a smile, a joke. Um,
Mhm.
he was also not like playing you know how sometimes you can play a character? It didn't
Mhm.
come across that he was playing a character either. It was very
Mhm.
authentic and genuine. But the point is like he was trying to emphasize was I couldn't be here without my teammates. Like
Right.
the experience that Zach Wilson and Jared Stidham have helped me out tremendously. I would have been an idiot not to listen to these guys.
Mhm.
I'm glad that I've been named the starting quarterback, but this is really where the work begins. I'm far away from being comfortable, just not complacent, not even. And Sean's the quote that will be remembered forever. It was Sean's quote. He said, "There was no cake and ice cream." So
Yeah.
it's like Bo Nix was named the starter, but there was no cake and ice cream because this is just step one of a much longer process. But I say, as a Denver Broncos fan, you have been in a longer process than Sean Payton, right? You've been in a 10-year process looking for your quarterback. So
Fuck yeah.
be happy that those guys can't celebrate, but as a fan, absolutely celebrate because the search is over. Sean Payton, he said it. I was right. He didn't say it in an arrogant way, but they asked him, "You were really high on Bo Nix. Were you right?" I was right. That's what he said.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
he said everything we liked about him when we were recruiting him is all the stuff we like about him now. And then a reporter said, well, I mean, he fits your scheme perfectly. And Sean shut it down. And he says, he's a great quarterback. He would fit any scheme. Like, don't minimize him to, oh, it's because I'm calling these easy plays that he's doing good. No, he's a really good quarterback. And he kind of threw that back at him and said, Bo Nix would fit any system. He's a good quarterback. So, man, I'm beyond excited to officially be in this new era. August 21st, you know, it marks,
Let's go.
It marks the day that my entire 30s hopefully will be with one quarterback, and his name's Bo Nix. You know, that's when you get your guy, it's a very long time, right? Caleb Williams with the Bears, it's the same vibe. But it's just really exciting to see how well he's doing. And it's kind of like pinch me now, right? Like, is this really for real? Because when Russ was traded, I mean, it felt real. Like, Bronco fans were crying of happiness. And that was like, well, if you could be that wrong, maybe you should just reserve a little bit of excitement. But I don't know. I mean, everything that we never saw Russ look good with the Broncos. Like, we have seen Bo Nix look good with the Broncos. So that's the difference. Now, we saw Russ look good with Seattle, but, you know, I'm talking about looking good the same offseason that you're expected to start. That we didn't see from Russ. We just kind of believed in what he had done in the past for Seattle. I think we can be a little less cautious because, I mean, you're watching the games. He looks very good. He doesn't look like he's going to, you know, enter week one and go to Seattle and just kind of forget everything and the moment's going to get to his head. You can tell really quick who a person is. I'll just say that. If you've been watching this game your entire life and you're obsessed with press conferences and you can catch on pretty quick. I like to think I'm very intuitive when it comes to people. And I'm telling you, it was the same thing with CJ Stroud early. It was the same thing about Jordan Love before the season started. Quarterbacks, when they show you something that you just can't ignore, you just can't forget about that. That's why I said CJ Stroud's not having a fallback season. Jordan Love could be an MVP caliber, and it's very likely Bo Nix is offensive player rookie of the year.
Oh, of the Broncos, right? Rookie of the year for the Broncos?
Offensive rookie of the year, period.
For the Broncos. Got it. Because I think Caleb's gonna have that one.
Right. Well, he has the best odds right now, but the Broncos are still supposed to get 5.5 wins. There's going to be a lot of there's going to be a lot of talking heads that are going to have to circle back to. And it's funny, real quick, because after Bo Nix got named the starting quarterback, all of the talking heads acted like, of course he did. Yeah, he's doing great. It's like, you guys have been talking shit all offseason. You literally said we had the worst quarterback room in the country. And now they're the same people that just like, oh yeah, this is going to work out for the Broncos. We kind of knew it would. It's like, no, you didn't. You laughed at the draft. You said that it was an overreach at pick 12, and I did too, but at least I can admit it. I very quickly came around to it. But all these people on ESPN, I mean, they asked today, Peter Schrager on Good Morning Football, he asked him straight up, he was like, is it crazy to think Bo Nix could win Offensive Player of the Year with Sean Payton? And everybody was like, no, Caleb Williams for sure. And then they went on to say how Caleb Williams is thrown to stars and Bo Nix is going to be throwing to nobody. And then he goes, I'm sorry, but Cortland Sutton's not him. And I mean, just continue to like shit on the Broncos in a way where I'm telling you, like, they do not know who our guys are. That is the bottom line. Like, this is beyond like being just a fanatic of this, like, as a football fan, we have really good players on this team. And if
Right.
the
Yep.
talking heads don't realize it right now, they're going to realize it very soon. Marvin Mims is going to have a good year. Josh Reynolds is going to have a good year. Shit, Troy Franklin could look good, but Tim Patrick and Cortland Sutton are both going to have big years. I mean, this team is ready to go. And the more I watch national media, the more I'm reminded what bothers me about it is it's like they only reinforce their own beliefs that they only know through other media. It's like
Mm-hmm.
they watch, the morning. If you watch one ESPN type show, you've seen them all because they're all
Yeah.
saying the very similar thing. And it's like nobody
Mm-hmm.
is really even considering that maybe they're wrong about our entire roster. Nobody has even
Well,
said that.
and the fact that they say that with like Cortland Sutton on the team still, like Tim Patrick still hasn't really he hasn't been able to break out in a sense because of his injuries and things like
Had
that.
9
But
quarterbacks. Like Cortland Sutton had
yeah,
9 quarterbacks throwing the ball. And if you
and he's
look
still
up
doing really well.
if you look up the top 25 touchdowns of last season, like 5 of them are Cortland Sutton
Yeah,
doing some
yeah.
miraculous play. So I
Just
just
last year with Russ tiptoeing in the end zone, like how many times? You know what I mean?
dude, I mean, and not these are like what is the stats that do the percentage of likeliness of a completion?
Mm-hmm.
Whatever it is, God, it's gonna bother me. They do like what were the AWS, I think, powered by AWS, and it like
Right, right,
shows.
right, right. Yeah.
So the Cortland Sutton had like 3 plays that had less of a 3% chance of completion. If I'm not mistaken, they were both like 1%, and it was the lowest in like a decade that a completion percentage likeliness, was that low and actually caught. I mean, dude,
Mm-hmm.
Cortland Sutton is a very good wide receiver, and he hasn't really dealt with that many injuries. Like he's had that one injury, but he's stayed healthy enough. Like Justin
Mm-hmm.
Jefferson was hurt last season, Amon-Ra St. Brown. Like receivers get hurt. 99%
All
of
the
them
time.
get hurt all the time.
Mm-hmm.
But the NFL has their favorites, and they have their guys that just do really good. But for some reason, they never got lucky enough to have a really good quarterback. And that's all
Mm-hmm.
changing. And that's my point. Is like what you feel about Cortland Sutton. His ceiling has always been that he doesn't have a good quarterback. And now you can throw that away. And now we're going to get to see who Cortland Sutton really is.
Yeah. And when I heard this news, I was like, I know Kyle's just going to be fucking excited about this because we talked about his preseason performances and what he's been doing and just reinforcing the entire idea when he was drafted that Sean Payton knows who he wants. He wanted this guy. This was his guy. Goes out to preseason and proves Sean Payton correct and proves all these people who were backing Sean Payton's pick or the pick of Bo Nix, it pretty much backs them up, proving them correctly because of how well he's going out there and playing. Again, it's just the preseason, and you and I and Commanders fans and Patriots fans and Atlanta Falcons fans are going to get excited about these young guys and how they're performing. And why not? Why shouldn't we? Right. So I didn't know, though, that he was the first rookie quarterback to start for the Broncos since Elway. That was, to me, that was insane. I was like, no way. I was like, that doesn't sound right. I could have sworn there was someone else, maybe Cutler, but even Cutler, I'm sure he had to kind of earn the starting quarterback job.
He did not start week 1.
Because he wasn't that great of a prospect coming out.
Yeah, I mean, he was if I'm not mistaken, he's a first round draft pick out of Vanderbilt.
I think he was.
I think he was later in the first round, maybe like 6th round.
Was he? No, 6th pick.
I thought it was later. Let me see.
Cutler draft.
I was really young. All I remember about that draft is my dad looking at me and being like, "You know where you went to school?" And I was like, "No," because I never followed college football like that. And he was like, "Vanderbilt. That means he's smart."
Vanderbilt. He was picked 11th in the first round.
11th. Okay.
They traded their first and third round picks to then the St. Louis Rams to get that pick. So 11th overall. And Bo Nix was 11th or 12th.
12th. Yeah.
12th. Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Good
There you
connection.
go. Yeah. There you go. There you go.
But Bo Nix
But
was drafted by Sean Payton, and Mike
mhm.
Shanahan drafted Jay Cutler.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. That's right. But yeah, man, I mean, I'm excited for you just because going back to the draft and what happened that night, like you said, like, oh man, 12 may have been a reach. A lot of people all over Twitter, even people who were there at the draft, were like, oh no, this Knicks could have been a second rounder, like Denver, what are you doing? Right. And now we can kind of look back at that and at least right now, look back at that and be like, it was worth it because now
Well,
he is their starter and doing really well in the preseason.
not just that. Here's two things to that. So the first
Mm-hmm.
thing is, think about this. If Bo Nix actually, let's just for fun,
Mm-hmm.
let's say Bo Nix does win Offensive Rookie of the Year. Let's say Caleb Williams has a really good season, but it was just so surprising that Bo Nix brought this team to double-digit wins that he just won
Mm-hmm.
it by default that way.
Yeah.
No, I mean, now think of how that looks, that Sean was able to draft his quarterback. It looks like a genius move all of a sudden. And
Mm-hmm.
now think about this. We also didn't trade up to get Bo Nix. We were able to stay put. How many people can fall in love with the quarterback, get their last pick at the stock,
Mm-hmm.
and not have to trade up, not have to give any future
Mm.
assets? You know what he said he did, and this is the second part. He called the Raiders, he called the Jets, the teams that were behind the Broncos, because he was so worried that they were going to trade up and draft a quarterback. So Sean said, literally, he was like, called the Jets and during the draft, and because I think the Jets were picking at 13, or no, the
Mm-hmm.
Raiders at 13, the Jets at 14.
Yeah.
So he goes, called the Jets, and the Jets answered the phone, and he said in his podcast, not his, but a podcast, he
Mm-hmm.
said that the Jets were like, "You called us. What do you want?" because he like just answered the phone. He's like, "Shit, how do I do that?" And then he was like, "I was just seeing if you guys were interested in moving up." So Denver pretended that
Yeah.
they wanted to move back just to
Oh.
see if the Jets or Raiders would want to move up, because if they did want to move up, then obviously they were going to get Bo Nix. So Sean was trying to see, while the board was falling, that's why he didn't move up, is because there was
Mm-hmm.
nobody behind us that was
Mm-hmm.
going to move up. But if the Raiders or Jets would have said, yeah, we're interested in moving up, then the Broncos probably would have had to move up to whoever is picking next, because the
Right.
fear was that he was going to lose Bo Nix. So like when you realize
Oh,
like
okay.
how bad he wanted Nix, and the fact that
Yeah.
he was able to stay at 12, gaslight everybody, and get away with this draft pick, and the fact that
Yeah.
it's working. I mean, it is all looking like Sean really knows what he's doing when it comes to this stuff.
Yeah, it was a good move by him. It's interesting because I kind of go back to what Ryan Poles did during the draft and how he you're talking about the Sean Payton move and him calling and being like, all right, where's everybody at? Because Ryan Poles did something similar when he wanted Rome and Dunze, right? And he was calling around and people were holding him back. And he's like, thank God they held me back because I was about to give up a lot for Rome. So it's a great thing that happened, that they were able to stay at 12, like you said, and they were able to still come away with Bo Nix. And obviously a lot of that has to do with other teams. And, maybe you could argue teams that also needed, a quarterback in this past draft and wanted to get one of the top 6 or whatever quarterbacks. A lot of them still had their doubts about Bo Nix, and luckily he has proven those doubters wrong. So it's going to be awesome to see him in a Denver uniform, especially the throwbacks. Now that you guys are getting those, that's going to be pretty fucking sick to see. So, and especially him working in Sean Payton's system, because from what I saw in the preseason games, from the highlights, he's very much like, hey, I'm going to take what the defense gives me. I'm going to get the ball out quickly. And this is how we advance the ball, at least in this Sean Payton system. It's working for him. It's working for Sean. It's working for the Broncos. There's going to be pluses and minuses. But from what I'm seeing, man, it's just all positive. And, obviously the season is going to be a little bit different. You're going to play all your starters. It's going to be a little bit more tough. But, Yeah, man, I'm happy for Bo Nix. I'm happy for you and Broncos Nation because, like I said, Broncos are my second team, man. They're my AFC team right now, so I'm pretty happy about that. Broncos country, I meant Broncos country. Let's ride.
Every time I see like a Denver Broncos YouTuber that is like, yeah, I mean Broncos Nation, I'm like, this is not a real fan. A real Broncos fan would never, or no, like on X when they're like sticking up. I am a Broncos fan. I'm a part of Broncos Nation. It's like,
Like, ooh, are you
shut
though?
yourself out.
You showed your ass. Okay, that's fun.
But yeah, dude, I mean the vibes are really high right now.
Right.
Hopefully they can stay that way. I mean, Seattle's a tough week 1 game. You're going into a hostile environment. You're going into a head coach's debut. So you know the players are going to be wanting to play really hard and tough. The noise. But I think it's a good first test. I'm glad it's not San Francisco or the Jets or Seattle's still like, if you get the win, it counts a lot. No one's gonna say, "Oh, you congratulations, you beat up a shitty team." No one would say that about that win, but it's also not a juggernaut of a team where it's impossible to get the win. So I kind of like where he's at. And then, of course, week 2, the game I'm going to do against the Steelers, I think that'll be a winnable game because I know what Russ is going to look like. Then, week 3, they play Tampa. I'm not saying Tampa's not going to be good, but I don't think it's out of the question that this team could start 3-0 with Bo Nix.
Woo, Kyle's loving it. It's so funny how, against the Steelers, you're like, I'm pretty sure, just going off last season, like, I'm pretty sure how this guy's going to do against either Russ or Justin Fields. Like, let's be real here, right? Like, we have a good idea of how these guys are going to perform against Denver. So, like you said, or against the Steelers. Yeah. What's that?
We've seen that movie.
Yeah, we've lived that movie for too fucking long. But even that's still kind of up in the air too with Russ and Justin Fields. But that's another topic for another day. We'll see how week 1 opens up for the Steelers.
Yeah, I was thinking, speaking of, we've seen that movie. We've also lived this movie.
Top Gun. I have the need for speed.
I don't think we ever said that, but we did play volleyball and make out. What?
That is true. That is true. And I also want to give a quick shout out since you said make out with our shirts off. Jinja has become a member of the YouTube only football fam. Jinja! So welcome to the fam, Jinja. Now that we got memberships back. Heart. There we go.
Sometimes I get fireworks, and then sometimes I just look like an idiot with 2 thumbs up.
Ginger said blow bricks. Is he wearing number 420? First player ever.
Blow bricks.
I love it. By the way, Bears winning 10-0 against the Chiefs. If they win tonight, that's win number 4.
You said the Bears are going to get 10 wins this year?
They fuck yeah, they are. They're going to get 12 wins is what they're going to do, and they're going to win the division.
If they do get 12 wins, that means Caleb Williams has been a success. And we are actually going to talk about the best and worst case projections for a lot of notable offensive rookies. But of course, we have to start with the one that the nation's going to be watching harder than any other quarterback.
Hard.
I mean, you're talking about the type of viewership that we haven't seen in a long time. I remember a very similar feeling when Trevor Lawrence had his first game as a Jaguar. Chicago is a bigger city, bigger market. It's going to be even more of the same, but I'm really excited personally to see, because preseason is one thing, but I value preseason. I do, but there's nothing like week 1, the energy. It's going to be absolutely insane. So Caleb Williams, if the Bears win 10 games, that means he did pretty well. So this was written by a writer for NFL, and this is what he said, and then we'll see if we agree with it. Best case scenario, is that Chicago's offense clicks early in the season under new coordinator Shane Waldron. Williams instantly connects with a stellar group of skill position players to meet the high bar set for him. The first overall pick makes a run at Andrew Luck's rookie passing records and leading the Monsters of the Midway back to the playoffs.
Let's go.
So, a couple things there.
Mm-hmm.
Offense clicks really fast with the new coordinator.
Mm-hmm.
Williams has such a good season that he actually makes a run at Andrew Luck's records, and the Bears get back to the postseason. Those are the three things in that. Would you agree with all three of them?
For best case scenario, right?
Scenario. Yeah, this is as optimistic as you could be about the situation.
Yeah, I mean that definitely sounds like best case scenario right there. The Andrew Luck records.
Agree with it? You know?
No, absolutely. The Andrew Luck rookie records. I feel like that would just be a cherry on top, because as you all know, and as we as Bears fans are always reminded, it seems like in every NFL Instagram post, Facebook post, every NFL game, the Bears have not had a passer surpass 4,000 yards passing or 30 plus touchdowns ever in the history of the franchise. Huh?
Since when?
The fucking history of the franchise, as we are always reminded. So all of that, the Andrew Luck records, rookie quarterback season records would be astounding. I would love it. And see, there it is.
This is your mascot.
This is our mascot right there. That's the only football mascot right there. When you get a membership to this podcast,
we will
get a piece. You get a piece of that puppy's love. So I want all you guys who are members to know that you get a piece of that puppy's love with a membership of the Only Football Fam. All of that would be great for Caleb Williams. Really, the one major thing that has to be best case scenario, at least personally, is that this offense really, really does show out to its potential. Again, the postseason, the rookie record that Andrew Luck had as a quarterback, those two things would be cherries on top. Honestly, as long as this offense looks like an NFL offense, that's really all I want. The wins, I hope if the offense looks like an NFL type of offense, like a productive one, an efficient one, the wins will be there. The wins will absolutely be there this season. Whether they win 9 games, 10 games, 11 games, whatever, the wins will be there in the W column for the Bears. I just want his first season, his rookie season with this offense, to be somewhat seamless, like with the minimal amount of errors, because that just goes to show that 1, we have the right quarterback. 2, we have a great offense set at with the team. And 3, the weapons that Ryan Poles has provided, the guidance, the coaching staff, Eberflus staying there and picking the offensive coordinator and Shane Waldron, all of this was the correct move. So really, again, this offense has to click, because what I'm seeing preseason from the defense, except for the third down, like stopping teams on third down, everything looks amazing right now about this team. Our punter looks really good. Our kicking, Cairo Santos, is still looking good. It's the offense and the third down defense that is still kind of like, it's a little iffy, right? The offenses look good in spurts, but if the offense can work, you can make up for other things. You can have a shootout with other teams like the Chiefs, the Bills, the Packers, the Lions. You can have these types of shootouts where you're in the game and you don't need your defense to come away with 2-3 takeaways and get you in field goal position or in a very, very good touchdown scoring position. If you've got an offense in today's NFL, you've got a chance to win double-digit games, and that's what I'm looking forward to. That is the best case scenario. If Caleb Williams wins Rookie of the Year, Offensive Rookie of the Year, again, cherry on top. If he breaks the records, cherry on top. If the Bears make the playoffs, cherry on top. I just want some fucking consistency in this offense for once. That's all I'm looking for.
I agree with all of those things. I mean, Caleb Williams looked really good in the football games that we have seen. There is an unusual amount of talent around him. So if Caleb
Mhm.
Williams is who he was projected to be, why wouldn't this change everything for the Bears, especially when you see, like Russell Wilson and Justin Fields struggling with their new team? It just reinforces that it's not a Bears problem. It was a
Mhm.
quarterback problem. So if Caleb
Mhm.
Williams is the fix to that problem, expect everything to be fixed. With the type of roster they have, that means that they're a very good team if Caleb Williams is a very good quarterback. The Bears
Mhm.
will go as Caleb Williams goes.
Yeah.
So I think that is the best case scenario. The worst case scenario is that Williams encounters significant growing pains. And before I read this little paragraph, was it on Hard Knocks that Caleb Williams was pulled out of practice for throwing a couple interceptions? Or did that come from the Bears practice facility?
I
Because
think that was kind of a rumor, I believe. I don't think it was necessarily anything that uh, was legit. I mean, if he threw a couple interceptions during training
yeah,
camp,
it
then
doesn't matter. It's
yeah,
just
yeah.
I heard on a podcast, a respectable podcast, somebody that
Mhm.
would not just spread rumors, but he said that Caleb Williams threw a couple picks, and then he didn't say they pulled him out of practice, but they alluded to, like, they just kind of told him, like, okay, like, you're not having a
Take a
great
break.
day. Yeah, take a break, kind of a thing.
Gotcha.
Um, so I was wondering, because he didn't say where he got that info, but I
Mhm.
was wondering if that was something that was on Hard Knocks, because I was like, maybe that's where he got it. But
Yeah, I don't know.
yeah, it doesn't matter.
Mhm.
So Williams encounters significant growing pains, forcing too many throws behind a shaky offensive line. The Bears' buzz of the summer dies early as the QB turns the ball over at a rate that leads to panic in Chicago.
Mhm.
So we got growing pains,
Mhm.
bad offensive line, forced throws. Um, Summer dies early,
Mhm.
um, and then panic in Chicago. So, panic in Chicago, that's a given if all those other things happen.
Yeah.
Um, the offensive line being shaky. Um, you can tell this is best and worst case scenario, because doesn't it
Mhm.
feel like the reality is somewhere in the middle of these two?
Yeah, and those growing pains, like even last year, CJ Stroud had growing pains. He lost against the Panthers, for fuck's sake. You know what I mean? Like nobody lost against the Panthers last year. It was difficult to lose against the Panthers. And that was part of the growing pains is like, oh, we got number one versus number two quarterback, right? And the number two, who turned out to be the offensive rookie of the year at the end of the year, lost against Bryce Young. And yes, it was probably a low scoring game and defense and blah, blah, blah had a lot to do with it. But that's how you look at that game, at the time. So growing pains, I think, are going to be part of every rookie quarterback's year. So I wouldn't put too much. I don't want to say necessarily worst case scenarios growing pains. I think that's gonna happen with everybody. The offense just kind of being stagnant. The offense not looking seamless, almost not necessarily seamless, but it's just not an efficient offense. It's not operating at Shane Waldron or Eberflus's vision of an offense. It looks as terrible as it has the last couple of years with Getsy. The wins aren't there. The whole team doesn't look. It just looks discombobulated or something like that, right? The defense isn't performing at how they performed last year, the last half of the season, or any of this. All of that would be terrible. Caleb Williams looked.
Your mic. I think you muted. Am I muted? I don't know. Can you hear me? Give me a thumbs up if you can hear me. Okay. It just went out for a second there. It seemed like it seemed like a mute button thing.
What the hell?
Oh, there you go. But
Good?
yeah, it's a different audio source though. It's your computer
Hold on.
mic.
What the hell just happened?
He lost
Oh,
power. He was talking bad about the Bears and literally lost the power in his house. The Bear gods were like, I don't like this. I'm turning that microphone off. We don't need to talk about worst case scenarios. But yeah, man. While he gets that ready, I'll say that I think it's very possible that a rookie quarterback with the highest expectations in some time goes out there and doesn't, break Andrew Luck's rookie passing records. I think that there will be some tough opponents. I know they play the Texans week 2, but I think Caleb Williams is going to work. From what I've seen in the preseason, I think that he's going to work. Now, is he going to be, like CJ Stroud last year? We'll see. But I think there will be some growing pains. It'd be weird if there wasn't.
Sorry, you guys hear me? You guys got me now?
Yeah.
Sorry, I must have unplugged something or something happened. Okay, we were talking about worst case scenario. Where was the last thing you heard from me?
You were talking about the coach.
Okay, yeah. So the worst case scenario for Caleb Williams in terms of like the coaching and Shane Waldron's offense and things like that is, I was referring back to what you said. The Bears are going to go how Caleb goes, and if Caleb is not going, if he's not getting this offense going, like a lot of us are projecting how Shane Waldron is projecting this offense to go, then it's going to be a long season. So again, it's the efficiency and how this offense is going to operate under Caleb Williams that is going to be the biggest like best worst case scenario. If it looks even halfway like decent, I still think it's going to be, on the positive. Like we will look at this as Bears fans as like, okay, we're headed in the right direction. If it looks as bad as Getsy's offenses look for the last couple of years, it's bad. Caleb Williams, though, has shown that he is a guy who is always looking downfield. In his preseason games, even when he's had plenty of open field in front of him, he has looked downfield and tried to look for a pass. He said it before in interviews, I am a passer first. I don't really like running. And that
are you worried about that?
Am I worried about that?
Well, like I in the preseason games I've watched, I noticed that he is a passer and that is his strength, but maybe his strength could become a weakness. I mean, he holds on very Mahomes-like, holds on to the ball to the very, very last second,
right?
And will try to make a play. Do you think that there's going to be those forced throws where he's just really wanting to make I mean, he knows what the expectations are. Do you think he forces a couple throws, early in the season? He's got to be like, all right, I got to learn from this. I'm not saying he's going to be like this forever, just going out there in the beginning. Maybe he's trying to force a couple plays just to kind of justify the hype a little bit.
Yeah, 100%. And I don't think it's like, again, I guess that would be also a part of the rookie, rocky road type of thing that's going on with all the rookies at quarterback, running back, wide receiver, you name it, right? It is one of those things where he's going to be a little bit overconfident in some instances. Do I think that's necessarily going to be a weakness? I don't think so. I think it's one of those sighs of relief as Bears fans where we thought Justin Fields at times was like, how are you missing this open guy? Why are you immediately when you snap the ball and your first look isn't open, you immediately go, let me run this ball out of here, right? So it's one of those things where I've seen during games, he's looking downfield and he's trying to get the pass off because that's what his position is. He's a quarterback, right? He wants to pass the ball. That's what he does. Don't get me wrong. I would love a Lamar Jackson who can pass and throw the ball. I wanted Justin Fields to be similar to that because I thought he was a weapon with his arm and with his legs. But if we have a quarterback who is throw first mentality, then great. I love that. We need a guy who can pass for 30 plus touchdowns and 4,000 plus yards. He has had conversations during the Hard Knocks episodes that I've watched and during like practice and during the games where he goes up to Eberflus or he goes up to Shane Waldron and he's like, yeah, you just got to throw that away, at much earlier than that and avoid this and avoid that or throw it away. Good job throwing it away there because there's nothing there for you and it's a first down or something like that. Like, good job making those decisions. So I don't necessarily think that's going to be a weakness. I do see it as a strength, but I 100% think that there's going to be an overconfidence during the season where he's like, I think I can hold it up until the very last second, like you're saying, and still complete the pass. And that's going to either burn him or it's just not going to be a completed pass. You know, it might be an interception, might be just an incompleted pass, something like that. I don't necessarily see that as a weakness. I would just kind of see that as okay, he's kind of going through his progressions. He's seeing what he can and can't do in the NFL, and he's going to learn from that, like you said as well.
Well, look at his favorite players in the NFL: Matthew Stafford, Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.
They're pure quarterbacks. So you can tell just, and this is, I thought you were going to say this when you were talking about the conversations he had with Eberflus, but another note is when you watch him talk about football with his coaches or in interview settings, you learn that Caleb Williams wants to go down as one of the great quarterbacks. And he knows that is not necessarily playing the game like Michael Vick or Lamar Jackson is going to get you into that conversation. Although John Harbaugh made a comment this offseason about Lamar being the greatest ever. We'll see about that.
Yeah, we'll see about that.
But for Caleb Williams, you can tell that there is a standard to what you have to be the greatest ever. And you can tell by his idols and the people that he respects that he wants to be mentioned in the same conversation. And you can't do that by being a run-first quarterback. So he is definitely going to at least attempt to go out there and wow people with his arm. That's his thing.
Yeah, and I love that because you're right. Part of the mentality of wanting to be one of the greatest is the quarterbacks that you mentioned, Aaron Rodgers, Matthew Stafford, Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, is longevity, is making sure you're getting the ball out of your hands to lessen any, bumps and bruises that can, hurt you throughout the season, that can take you out for an extended period of time, that will affect you in your quest for longevity as well as perfection and championships. Like most of the guys that we've mentioned have, Brady played until he was 42.
Yeah.
Peyton Manning played until he literally couldn't play anymore. It seemed like Matthew Stafford is still out there. Aaron Rodgers is still out there. These guys have all won Super Bowls and have stayed in the game for a very, very long time because they realize the least amount I get hit, the better it is for my career, the more championships I can win, the more I'm there for my team because I know I am in an important position. Again, arguably the most important position in sports. And I'm there to make a difference and I can make that difference. So like you said, Caleb Williams is very, very aware of that. And I think that's why he's a pass first guy.
Well, you're going to hate this. I hate to be the bearer of bad news here, but you said that the Bears have never had a 4,000-yard passer. His projected stats is 3,909 yards.
No. Add 91 more yards and we'll be good. Add 91 more yards. We'll be good.
I can't make this up. 26 touchdowns, 12 interceptions, 367 rushing yards, 4 rushing touchdowns, which kind of shows you that he is a pass-first touchdown, although the quarterback next is also pretty low. They don't really project a lot of rushing touchdowns out of this quarterback class, but I think the rushing touchdowns is low. I think he gets in with his feet more than 4 times.
Okay.
I don't think that's going to be a big part of his game, but he's too much of a playmaker to not end up in the end zone with the football.
Yeah.
3,909 passing yards. I think he could get 4,000.
If he gets close to it, I'll still be happy. But I also think he could get 4,000. Yeah, 100% agree.
Yeah, he gets 4,000. This is the year.
Let's go.
26 touchdowns. I think that's a very safe amount where you're. I mean, it's got to be right in the middle. This is like a betting line. It's like you don't know whether to go over or under because it seems like exactly what it should be.
Yeah.
12 interceptions seems a little high. I don't know if 12 interceptions. I mean, let's say that these numbers come true. You said you'd be happy about the passing yards.
Mhm.
The touchdown to interception ratio, 26 to 12. How do you feel about those two?
I I th- I really don't think that's a bad projection. Double digit interceptions. I really don't think that's a bad projection. We just talked about how he's a pass first guy, and we talked about how it's going to be very much a strength in terms of the longevity, long career, championships, this and that. But we also mentioned how it could be a possible weakness in wanting to get it in those tight spaces, wanting to hold it to the last minute. It may be a detriment in some situations. So I think if you're a pass first guy, you're going to have those high interceptions. And I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. I think it's okay if he gets double digits, but he's got 26 touchdowns and he's got almost 4,000 yards or even more than that. We know we got a fucking quarterback. We know we got our guy who is going to be our quarterback for 15 plus years, hopefully, right? At least in terms of what he envisions for himself. So quarterback, the interceptions at 12 for his rookie year. I really don't think that's bad. I mean, I probably would maybe add a couple more just to kind of be safe on both ends, interceptions and touchdowns. Just because I do think he's going to be passing a lot. Bill's saying you're setting yourself up for disappointment, Rick. I probably am, Bill. I probably am. But you know what? I want to wear Bears gear, and I want to wear it, and I want to be able to wear it and display it proudly. So I'll be disappointed. I've been disappointed for the last decade. So it's been a rough regardless.
Well, I think what is 4,000 yard passer? Like, what does that look like? CJ Stroud.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Last year, how many passing yards did he have? Do you think, if you could guess without looking it up? Just try to guess.
3,500?
3,500?
Yeah.
I did not think you were going to guess that. 4,108.
Wow.
I thought you were actually going to go over because in my head, he threw for more than that as well.
Oh, I got you. Yeah.
So, yeah, he threw for 4,108 yards and dude was lighting it up. I mean,
yeah, he was.
He was amazing. He had a 63.9 completion percentage. I think he had 100.8 QBR. Let's see, his rushing touchdowns. Well, he had 23 passing touchdowns. So they're saying Caleb Williams will have 3 more passing touchdowns than CJ Stroud had.
Okay.
Stroud only threw 5 interceptions all season, though.
Oh, okay. That's a good
number. He did
number.
win Offensive Rookie of the Year and came in second with the MVP vote, but didn't win it. But yeah, dude. I mean, CJ Stroud. I mean, is that even fair to say like Caleb Williams could have that kind of a year? Because, I mean, how long has it been since somebody like CJ Stroud came in the league and did that? What are the odds it happens back to back years, you know?
Yeah, and Bill makes a great point. Stroud is a unicorn. And before that
exactly
it was
what I'm saying.
Yeah, and before that it was luck. Or no, even before luck, it was Herbert. And then before Herbert, it was Andrew
didn't
Luck.
even start his rookie year, I believe.
I thought he did. I thought he had like over 5,000 yards or something.
He came in like week 5.
Oh, okay. And then there was one year that he had like he like set the record for the Chargers.
Second game.
Something. He came in week 2?
Yeah, he came in week 2. So
okay. Okay. Yeah. All right. That's fair. That's fair.
How many yards do you think he got his rookie year?
Oh God, what, over 5,000, 5,100, something like that?
Okay, so he was 9th among rookie quarterbacks since the year 2000. Andrew Luck, Ben Roethlisberger, C.J. Stroud, Matt Ryan, Cam Newton, Russell Wilson, Robert Griffin, and Dak Prescott was first. That's crazy. In what? In yards? Let's see. Justin Herbert, rookie season
in
stat.
hype.
So he played in 15 games.
Mhm.
He threw for 4,336 yards.
Yeah. Oh wait, that was a 2020 season.
Yeah, this is his 2020 season.
Oh, okay. Thanks,
He
Bill,
threw
for that.
31 touchdowns and 10 interceptions.
Yeah.
31 and
Savage.
10. So this is kind of closer. It's crazy, dude. I'm glad you
Mhm.
brought this up. I feel like we
Mhm.
forget about Justin Herbert so often.
Yeah.
Um,
I mean, I almost did, and I was like, no, wait. Justin Herbert was pretty damn good his rookie year, and then his second year was even better. So
yeah, his second year was, I think he went over 5,000 passing yards. So,
yeah, Bill said 5,014 yards, and this kind of goes to what you've been saying for a while now. Ever since, honestly, I think ever since we started this podcast, is these guys are coming out of college just way more prepared, much better prepared, ready to go into the NFL and do shit like this. That's why
yeah,
it's like with Luck, it seemed, wow, this guy is that damn good, where he is the number one prospect, this and that. And then it's like you go into like a guy with Dak Prescott, and I'm pretty sure he did really well his first couple seasons. Then you go Justin Herbert. Now you go CJ Stroud. And now you go this crop of quarterbacks, all six of them, except for JJ McCarthy, who unfortunately is lost for the year. But you hope that they're going to, this continuation of just rookie quarterbacks are going to be ready to go and be able to do something like CJ Stroud did last year.
yeah, and Bo Nix is now in the same division as Justin Herbert. And until Justin Herbert had that rookie year, people said Oregon can't bring in a good quarterback. And now Justin Herbert came into the league, and now Bo Nix comes in. So there's a rivalry, but there's also this like family rivalry between who is the better quarterback at Oregon. And and I was looking up trying to see who did better, and it said didn't give me an answer.
Those
but
motherfuckers. Those
I know,
motherfuckers.
But I mean, I think it's just another thing. Like nobody thought Justin Herbert was going to take the league by storm.
Exactly.
So,
Yeah.
So often, like we're just kind of wrong about these guys. It happens all the time. I don't think that's the case for Caleb Williams, but I am saying that if he's going to be like even close to what he's projected to be, he almost has to throw for almost 30 touchdowns. Like he almost has to go over 4,000 yards, because the bar for these guys was not even remotely as high as his was, and he has way more weapons than Justin Herbert had. So like why? I mean, it's almost disappointing if he doesn't get 4,000 yards, in my opinion.
Yeah, and unfortunately, that's kind of like what the hype's doing, because it really is getting to that point where you look at your CJ Strouds and you look at your Andrew Lucks, and to a bit of a lesser extent, your Trevor Lawrences, who were like the highest touted number one overall guys going into their rookie years, and you almost expect at minimum 4,000 yards, 20 plus touchdowns. Yeah, you're going to have high interception numbers probably rookie year, but you're getting yourself acclimated to the game. So yeah, I mean, again, there's going to be some bad games where Caleb Williams is going to look bad, and people are going to be talking shit like, oh, there he goes, he's a bust. No USC quarterback is that good. Blah 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 blah. Right. And then at the end of the year, who knows? He might be offensive rookie of the year. He might be up there. He might be like CJ Stroud and have MVP votes his rookie year, something like that. So it's just, you got to take the good with the bad.
Yeah. And I went on record saying that this will be the best quarterback draft ever in the history of football. I think we could have multiple Hall of Famers when it's all said and done out of this class.
You heard it here first on the Only Football podcast. This is going to be the greatest quarterback draft class.
This is going to age like a fine Cabernet.
when we do the Groundhog Day, which we forgot to do last year, unfortunately. But when we do the Groundhog Day, we're going to be like, look how stupid we look.
No, we're not. We're going to be like how we are every year. We were mostly right about everything.
No, yeah, I never said that. I was totally right about that.
No, I mean, dude, you even on our intro video called a game and called exactly how the Bears would lose to the player.
Oh,
David
with
Montgomery gets the
David
touchdown
Montgomery.
that ices the game.
That's true.
And then I showed the
Okay.
clip of it because that was just way too specific. And I was right about Jordan Love. I said he was going to take the league by storm, and he did. It took a while. I'm not going to lie. I was scared for a little bit.
Took half the
But
season, yeah.
but we also thought that Sean could fit. I mean, honestly, he did fix Russ, but Russ is, he's done. It's sad. It was
Yeah.
like, this was the nail in the coffin, kind of like, I was like, if Sean
Yeah.
can't do it, it's amazing how many people lost faith in Sean. I'm like, no, wrong guy. It's Russ.
Yeah. No. Wait.
Yeah, I know. It's like, oh, just
he
let
improved them a
let it
little
go.
bit. He improved them.
So Jaden Daniels was the quarterback that I was saying during the draft process. If I could have any quarterback, I want Jaden Daniels. I think he's going to be amazing. And really what stood out to me about Jaden Daniels was the amount of leaps that he was taking one year to the next. Not Bo Nix, Drake May, who was the bona fide number 2 overall for almost a year and a half. And then Jaden Daniels played so well that he won the Heisman Trophy and put himself in the conversation. I mean, in any other draft with no Caleb Williams, he's the number 1 overall pick. And because there's a generational talent, he goes at number 2. I'm still very high on Jaden Daniels. So the best case scenario for him is that he looks like a dynamic playmaker he was during his Heisman Trophy winning season. He airs it out in Cliff Kingsbury's attack and makes a highlight reel gains with his legs on consistent basis, maturing quickly when it comes to knowing when to protect himself from contact. I think there was a game in the preseason where you wanted to see him get out of bounds or slide and he took a hit. You just don't want to see that from somebody that just the eyeball test looks like he can't take too many NFL hits without getting hurt. So very tall, but very skinny. This isn't Will Levis running at you or Tim Tebow, these more stocky, ripped dudes, Jalen Hurts. I mean, this is Lamar Jackson, and you know how he's dealt with injuries. So I agree with the best case scenario is pretty much, I think, how most people are feeling right now about Jaden Daniels. What do you think?
Yeah, I think this is going to be the Commanders going in the right direction by picking him at quarterback. Unfortunately, the thing with them is their offensive line. Similar to the Bears, I think, have a much better offensive line. And I'm not saying they're the best in the league, but the Commanders
you heard it here first.
Continuously been ranked one of the bottom tier offensive lines. And we saw that with Sam Howell last year. Remember, we were talking about how Sam Howell was doing really, really well and that the offensive line was letting him down. This might be the, for lack of a better term, Achilles heel of Jaden Daniels' first year of the Commanders is that offensive line. If it's ranked that badly, you might be seeing something where he can't produce or play at the level that we saw him play at LSU and his career before that. But if we're going best case scenario, this line over this training camp has meshed. The chemistry has been a lot better. The front office has brought in guys to compete, and with that competition brewing, it's just going to be a lot better. And Jaden Daniels is able to go out there, able to make plays with his feet, able to make plays with his arms that we've been seeing in the preseason because he throws a pretty fucking football. That spiral is tight. And something else is too. But, he plays really, really well in the passing game. And his legs, again, are a threat. So it's going to be really good to see him do that. And again, I think this is going to be a very good step in the right direction for the Commanders and their offense. So best case scenario, yeah, he's going to be up there too. I mean, passing for 3,000, 3,500, 4,000 yards plus. I do think, though, his interception numbers may be a little bit lower because I feel like he's going to try to make a little bit more plays with his legs. I don't know if you agree.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to. I think he's going to look very similar to Lamar Jackson. I wouldn't necessarily say that there's going to be times where you want him to look downfield and he's running. he does kind of have an aired out mentality. He loves the deep ball. My biggest concern is the news today that Jahan Dotson was traded to the Eagles. Now, I don't know why this deal happened for both parties. I mean, for the Eagles, it's like, how are they getting away with this stuff? And for the Commanders, it's like, what are you doing? You got a rookie quarterback. Like, I like Dotson. I've always liked Dotson. It's not his fault that he hasn't had a quarterback. Same thing with Drake London in Atlanta. Like, Dotson has the potential to be really good in this league, and I don't know how I feel about the Commanders doing that with a rookie quarterback. I don't know the reasoning, but you bring
and to send him to an in-division rival too.
True. I didn't even think about that part. To send him to a rival, it makes no. It was like when the Lions sent Hawkinson to the Vikings, or Aaron Jones to the Vikings, or DeAndre Swift from the Lions to the Bears, or wait, didn't they all just switch running backs?
No, so yeah, sort of. DeAndre Swift went to the Eagles first and then the Bears, but yeah, it's kind of the same thing too because he's played in both teams.
Right. This was a weird offseason for running backs in the NFC North, but yeah, you brought up the offensive line. The worst case scenario kind of alludes to that. The offensive line doesn't gel. The durability concerns about the thinly framed quarterback surge to the forefront as he takes hit after hit. Daniel struggles to connect deep and throws outside the numbers, kind of limits Washington's offense. Projected stats, 3,495 passing yards. Now, 3,909. So about 500 more passing yards projected out of Caleb Williams in a 17 game year. 500 yards is only, just a couple extra games, a couple extra 200, 300 yard games when Jaden Daniels has, I mean, this is not crazy difference. 19 touchdowns, Caleb Williams 7 more, 11 interceptions, but he gives him 5 rushing touchdowns where Caleb had 4. I think these numbers are awfully low. The passing yards, the touchdowns, and the rushing touchdowns.
How many touchdowns passing were they giving him?
19.
To only 1 extra touchdown rushing? I don't know about that. I mean, I think I'll easily give him like 21, 22 with that 5th rushing touchdown too, adding on there. Because again, I think he's going to try to make plays with his legs too.
Well, if he gets 1.5 touchdown passes per game, he's going to get more than that.
So this is also taking into consideration, though, the offensive line, right? So maybe they're projecting that because the offensive line isn't that well suited going into the year, maybe Jane Daniels, is hurt a couple games or something like that. Because you came up with with like the quick math there. It's like 500 yards is like 2 games in the NFL for a quarterback, right? So if he's like getting sacked a lot, like again, we saw Sam Howell last year. If he's getting maybe not necessarily injured, but he's hurt, he's hurting, right? And he's got to stay out for a game or a week or whatever, then maybe that's where those stats are kind of coming in a little bit low. I don't know.
Yeah, but I guess I'm having a personal issue with it because I think it's going to be the best case scenario for Jaden Daniels. And I think the Commanders are going to be really happy when the season starts. It's weird being on this side of it, projecting all these quarterbacks to work, because it does feel like statistically, history's not on my side. But that's why I think this quarterback class is an anomaly. It really is.
True.
The next guy, he hasn't really made my list of guys that I'm super high on, and I don't know why. It's Drake May.
Okay.
Drake May, selected 3 overall. He has all the tools. I guess people like his size. They like the arm talent. I saw a pretty mediocre play in the second game, and Patriot fans were like, "That's all I needed to see. He's our guy." And it made me feel like, God, is that what I look like? But it's like it's not the same because Drake May hasn't looked like nobody has looked like Bo Nix in this preseason. The numbers back it up. Like,
yeah.
but people really like Drake May. I mean, when you're going from, freaking who's Alabama quarterback? I'm blanking on his
Jalen
name.
Hurts, Bryce Young.
No, the quarterback that he's taken over for. He did the gritty Pro Bowl, Mac Jones.
Mac Jones. Oh, yeah.
I mean, when you're taking over for Mac Jones, it's like, well, there's no way the Patriots offense could be worse than it was last year. So, like,
yeah,
I almost feel like, why not just start him? Because it's not like, the bar is so high from the previous. It's not like Tom Brady leaving, Baker Mayfield. And Baker Mayfield actually outperformed what Tom Brady, I don't know statistically, but I know they were in the postseason not losing 40-0 to the Cowboys. But I'm saying,
just a quick little Cowboys thing.
Yeah. So, I mean, Drake May doesn't really have, the expectations at being drafted number 3 overall, it's always going to be hype, but I think it will take very little to win the fans over based on what the Patriots have been putting on the field the last couple of years. Now, with that said, I think Drake May can do that little bit, but I don't know if that little bit means that he was a hit, if that makes sense. Like Drake May is at the end of this season, we're going to be like, Drake May was a star and we should have known it all along. I don't know if we're going to be having that conversation. Drake May is one of the few quarterbacks that I'm really confused and torn on because I feel like if I come out here and say he's not going to work and he does work, I'm going to have to eat those words. And the truth is I feel like I don't really know. I just don't. Like, I don't have a feeling on this one. I don't know if the Patriots are going to be competitive this year. I don't know if the receiving core is going to be able to give Drake May a fighting chance. And I also don't know how they're going to be coached under Gerard Mayo, a defensive coach, not necessarily in his favor. So I just have a ton of question marks about the Patriots this year. I think Ramondre Stevenson's going to get a heavy workload. I don't see the Patriots having the kind of success that the previous 2 quarterbacks have. But what do you feel about Drake May before we do ceiling and floor?
This one was a little bit this one is a little bit difficult. Yeah, because you also have the threat of him starting because of Jacoby Brissett there. Right? So it's tough to weigh his best and worst case scenario against guys like Jaden Daniels and Caleb Williams, and in this case, Bo Nix as well, now that he's been named starter, because those guys are guaranteed to be there week 1, taking snaps on their center, right? So Drake May still kind of falls into that. He's not going to really start. Is he going to start? Is Jacoby Brissett going to start? And if Jacoby Brissett does end up starting, does Drake May come in the middle of the year? When does he come into the starter position? What game? Is it week 2 or is it week 8? Is it week 11 when it's like pretty much the Patriots are completely out of it? Or what's the situation, right? So I'm with you here where I'm just like, number 3 overall, he might be one of those guys who has to sit behind a veteran first in his rookie year to really kind of get those reps. Even though, again, he's been doing pretty well in preseason. There's been some games where he's looked really good in the preseason and his arm talent is on display there. And I know the big thing is like his footwork and kind of like getting the ball out quickly, things like that. So yeah, I don't know. Again, like you said, this one's a little tough, but because of Jacoby Brissett, Gerard Mayo, rookie coach, the Patriots are clearly in a rebuild, which is something I feel like they've kind of put off for the last 2 seasons. So all those factors kind of going into it. And again, the fact that he hasn't been named starter or is probably not going to be the starter, it just kind of all goes into the unknown in a sense.
Let me know if you can hear this.
Is that porn or what is that?
You don't hear it?
No. I don't hear anything. No.
That's insane. That is so loud. I guess this microphone has good technology to pick up
Yeah.
nothing but my voice.
Got the good background killer.
My computer is saying blow it out your ass. I never heard that before, so I went to
Blow it out your ass.
slangdefine.org.
Yeah.
And I put blow it out your ass, and it goes basically means fuck you. And I was like, wait a minute, what did I do? What, Bill? I need like some kind of what do you call it?
40-0 to the Cowboys.
But he doesn't like the Cowboys.
Wasn't that a dig at the Giants?
No, it wasn't. I don't get it. Why fuck me? I'm not mad about it. I just need to know why fuck me.
Because fuck you, Kyle. That's why.
But why? I need to know why fuck you. No, I'm with
because we're
you.
talking about our quarterbacks and Bill's got to deal with Danny Dimes. That's why.
Oh, there it is.
Probably. I don't know. I don't
There
know
it
what
is.
Bill's talking about.
Bill's typing. He's like writing a whole paragraph of why he's gonna blow it in my ass. This is speaking of bloating in an ass.
Ooh.
We're gonna talk about Bo Nix.
Bo Nix.
Bo Nix drafted first round, number 12 overall, lower than all of these guys. Best case scenario, the fawning over the fit between Nix and Sean Payton's offense proves to be well placed. The rookie's experience, 61 college starts, shows as he plays with a lot of confidence. Nix is efficient, and he shows the accuracy that was his calling card at Oregon. We've already seen that is all true.
Yep.
There's nothing. I don't. The thing about the best case scenarios that I'm not liking is that a lot of times they're just stating facts. Like, you know what I mean? Like, oh,
yeah,
the mesh with Sean Payton's going to be good. Duh. His experience is going to show. It will. He'll be efficient and show his accuracy that got him drafted. Yes. What's the best case scenario, though? I would say the best case scenario is that Bo Nix leads the team to double-digit wins, and the Broncos make the playoffs as a wild card. Bo Nix throws for 4,000 passing yards and wins, an award or is a runner-up for a major award. That's my version of the best case scenario. But what say you?
Best case scenario for Bo Nix is pretty much being exactly the quarterback that Sean Payton wants. Being Drew Brees, I would say, pretty much is like the best case scenario here. I feel like I'm kind of reiterating what the article is kind of saying and what's been said prior to him being drafted, the day of the draft, everything after the draft, before preseason, like looking the way playing the way that Sean likes a quarterback to play, the type of quarterback that he wants. I can absolutely see double-digit wins. You guys had 9 wins last season?
Yeah, we went 8-9 with Russ.
Okay, so 8-9.
7 wins. Yeah, 7 wins.
No.
That's why I said 7's our floor, because we started the season 1-4, getting blown out by teams. We put together a 5-game win streak that was mostly
8-9.
Oh, 8.
8-9, yeah.
Okay, so he only won 7 games in a different. Oh, I think it was his last year with the Saints.
That's why I was like double, because I was going to bring up the fact that we both of our teams are like at least 7 wins. Bears were 7, Broncos were 8. So double-digit wins doesn't really seem out of reach for either of these guys, even with rookie quarterbacks. That's what I was going to say. Like double-digit wins, Bo Nix has, like, I don't know, especially in the kind of offense that Sean Payton wants, with I don't know. I don't necessarily think you guys have a running back. Jaleel McLaughlin is probably your best bet right now,
Javonte
right?
Williams.
Or Javonte Williams. Like even he had a pretty down year last year. So I
Yeah,
don't know.
he came back from the same kind of injury, and Brees Hall had a down year too, and he's expected to
Yes.
bounce back. Like, I'm not saying he will bounce back the same way. I'm just saying, like, Javonte, I think, is going to look more like his old self than he did last year.
Yeah,
That's
and
all.
I think Sean Payne is going to use Javonte Williams more as of a safety net to Bo Nix, in a sense that he's going to want Bo Nix to fucking command that offense with his arm. Like that's what
Yeah.
I think it's going to be. So double-digit wins. Like I said, best case scenario, Bo Nix is commanding the offense. He is QB1, and he's doing it exactly like Drew Brees did it with Sean Payne in New Orleans. He's showing that he's not necessarily, or I'm saying he's showing that his age, because he's 24 and is coming in as a old quarterback, like Bill said, and that all these 24-year-olds are being labeled as older quarterbacks. Like it's going to show, and in the positive way, that he can command the offense. He knows he's got that maturity level. He can easily transition into a locker room full of vets that some might be just a little younger than him, and he can still command that offense. He can throw for 25 plus touchdowns. And again, the interceptions I think will be high, even on the best case scenario. But again, if you got high interception rate and you are a pass first guy, and that is what the offense is built upon, I still think that's a step in the right direction for any rookie quarterback.
Mark this down.
Marking it.
Bo Nix will have fewer interceptions than any rookie quarterback playing this year.
Wow.
I mean, he hasn't thrown an interception in the 2 games he's played, and he hasn't even thrown something close to an interception. One of the best things about Bo Nix is not just accuracy and efficient, it's that he protects the football and he doesn't make risky plays. He is very safe with the football. So I don't think he throws double-digit interceptions this year. I just don't see it. I think he throws. I'm gonna give him 5 picks on the year.
No way. That's low. That's low.
I know. That's why I said remember this moment.
Best case scenario. Okay, that's fair. Best case scenario.
The amount of wins we're supposed to get should be the amount of interceptions Bo Nix will throw. 5.5.
Kyle's putting it out there. He's saying, fuck it. 5 picks, that's it for Bo Nix. What about yards and touchdowns? What about it?
Well, the worst case scenario, and you can tell the writers had nothing because the worst case scenario for the others was a little bit longer. This is all they could write. The Broncos' offensive line struggles, and it takes a toll on Nix. Pressure knocks him out of rhythm, and the trademark accuracy doesn't shine through.
Yeah.
It's just like very, like, where's the meat and potatoes of that? I mean, the offensive line struggles. Sean Payton spent like $100 million on the offensive line, and it's not going to struggle. I mean, I just don't see it. I'd say the worst case scenario, if I had to say, is that we're just wrong about everything that we've seen.
I was going to say the same thing.
And for some reason, like, I don't even know how to predict this because I would have to think like, okay, he's going to crack under pressure. I don't believe that. I know who he is now. He is one of those guys that just like the moment's not too big for him. He's not a shaky, jittery person. He's very calm. So I don't know if he's gonna. I mean, he would have to lose that, and then I guess start making bad decisions. It's hard to predict. It would be like if you asked me to try to predict like any of the quarterbacks that I'm high on would have a bad year. Like try to do this with CJ Stroud or Jordan Love or Jalen Hurts. It's like besides predicting that they can't stay healthy, it's hard to predict that they're going to have a bad year. And I feel that way about 3 of the 4 quarterbacks that we've gone through. I just don't see the worst case scenario being that bad, honestly.
You know what I'm starting to think we should have kind of named this segment was CJ Stroud versus Bryce Young scenario. That's what we should have called it. Like, who's closer to having a CJ Stroud and who's closer to having a Bryce Young?
That is so far apart. Those are miles and miles and
Yeah.
miles. This is mile high
Yeah.
stadium distance away from each other. It's like
Yeah.
I would have 3 of the quarterbacks closer to CJ Stroud, and I guess I would have Drake May
Mhm.
closer to Bryce Young.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. I again, with all the doubt about what exactly is gonna happen in New England with the rookie coach, with Jacoby Brissett there, kind of stopping the forward movement on the depth chart for Drake May as QB1. I would probably put Drake May as the worst performing quarterback. And that is, again, assuming that Kirk Cousins is going to stay healthy throughout the year and Michael Penix is never going to get a start this year. Maybe garbage time stuff, but is not going to get a start. He might appear in some games. And JJ McCarthy's already out for the season, unfortunately, so we already can pretty much check that box. But out of the 4 that are currently like still, 3 of them have been named starters. One of them still vying for that possible starter role and probably will start games this upcoming season. Drake May's easily probably going to have the worst year, but it's not going to be a full year for him again because of Jacoby Brissett. So I would probably put Drake May on the low man on the totem pole there.
Yeah, and for the projected stats, he's projected 3,358 passing yards, 20 touchdowns, 10 interceptions, 3 rushing touchdowns. I'm telling you right now, for Bo Nix.
Okay.
I'm predicting 28 touchdown passes from Bo Nix, not 20.
Ooh, shit.
Caleb Williams was projected 26. I think he gets more, and I think Bo Nix gets more. And people are like, how could you do that? Well, I saw Russell Wilson and how bad he looked last year, and I saw him get 26. Sean Payton is going to have an upgrade at quarterback, and it's going to result in more touchdown passes. I mean, it's not rocket science, in my opinion. 20 touchdowns is, I don't know, like, the data doesn't back this up. It's like the data says that Sean Payton has a floor when it comes to quarterback performance, and this is under that floor. Sean Payton's too good of a play caller for 20 touchdown passes.
And he's already got a year in Denver under his belt. He knows what his personnel looks like. And I think that is just a plus for Bo Nix, as well as Caleb Williams, whereas Jaden Daniels, Drake May, and Michael Penix, obviously, again, with Kirk Cousins there, they all have rookie head coaches. Well, not rookie head coaches, but first time in that team head coaches. So it's a little bit of a different situation going on there for those guys.
Yeah, and Sean's adjusted to the altitude now, so he won't be out of breath when he's calling his plays.
I think he's still going to be out of breath.
No, I was going to say, the big thing about Bo is that he gets the ball out of his hands quick. So think when you're on the 5-yard line, those quick wide receiver screens, those are touchdown passes. Those quick shuffle passes to the running back. I think there's going to be a lot of, like, I guess, red zone touchdown passes when, teams generally run the ball down there. I think you'll see Bo Nix having, opportunities to throw more touchdown passes and pad the stats a little bit.
Okay. I like it. I mean, and again, with Courtland Sutton there, a hopefully healthy Tim Patrick throughout the entire season. Oh my God. Remind me of your tight end's name. Dulcich?
Greg Dulcich. Yep.
Greg Dulcich. I think those guys are going to be very, very helpful in his first year.
Lucas Kroll is going to have a breakout year too.
Oh, he's going to break out so hard.
He was drafted Joku Baseball.
No way, really?
Yeah.
JUCO.
What did I call it?
Joku. We don't do names here.
We don't do names, but those are the best case, worst case for the quarterbacks, the meaningful quarterbacks. And then there's 3 running backs that I'll fly through really quick, and then I'll
Mhm.
just ask you to rank these 3.
Okay.
Of course, you have Jonathan Brooks, who was the number 1 on most boards, who was drafted in the 2nd round. He is rehabbing an ACL tear, so he got it last November, so he's not going to be available till late September. But the
Mhm.
best case scenario is that he hits the ground running, and he becomes the backbone of a much improved offense, and he's everything that he was supposed to be. The worst case is that his return from injury takes a little bit longer,
Mhm.
and Brooks doesn't show the same explosiveness he had in Texas, and the Panthers' offense continues to be among the league's worst. I think those 2 scenarios, I'm leaning towards the worst case for them.
Same.
Um, he is projected 625 yards, only 5 touchdowns. I think that's a little low. Even though I'm trending in the worst case scenario, I don't think it's going to be, 600 yards and 5 touchdowns. I think he can still put up more touchdowns than that. Trey
Mhm.
Benson, who was drafted in the 3rd round, he his best case scenario is that he entrenches himself as an enticing backup to James Conner, and he starts pushing for a larger workload by midseason. He has a bigger impact as a pass catcher than we expected.
Hmm.
The worst case scenario is that he's not decisive enough as a runner. He's unable to challenge Connor for snaps. He has a good burst, but the man ran a 4.39 40-yard dash after all, but not overwhelming enough for him to break big gains on consistent basis in the NFL. And then you
Mhm.
got Blake Corum. Blake Corum. Oh, yeah. And he was projected 621 yards, so only 4 fewer yards than Jonathan Brooks.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
only 4 touchdowns. Uh,
Yeah.
well, and then Blake Corum is the last running back. The best case is that the Rams found a sturdy, reliable backup to Kyron Williams. He grinds out tough yardage, proves to be more than capable of filling in as a starter if there's any injuries at sideline Kyron Williams. Worst case scenario is that he doesn't show the gear necessary to break off longer runs, and his limitations confine him to a bit of a role player in McVay's offense. Projected 595 yards and 5 touchdowns.
Mhm.
Um, I think Trey Benson has the best year of all 3. And I said that before the draft started. I was like, Trey Benson's the running back I like this year. Then I would go with Jonathan Brooks simply because of the workload. Kyron
Mhm.
Williams was already the 7th rounder that emerged onto the scene. It felt like the
Yep.
Rams drafted Blake Corum simply because of a value thing. You're also seeing teams really like David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs just like, hey, okay, what if we get 2 really good ones? Um, I
Yeah.
think the Rams are hoping for that, but they drafted the value. But I ultimately think Kyron Williams is too good for Blake Corum to get enough snaps to really compete for Jonathan Brooks type of production. So I'm going to go Trey Benson, then Jonathan Brooks, and then Blake Corum.
So for me, who's getting the best year? So I gotta disagree with Trey Benson. I think with how well James Conner did last year for the Cardinals, it just like it says here, he's gonna have a tough time challenging James Conner for snaps. I think he's going to play a very similar role that Chase Brown did for the Bengals running back last season. They traded him. What the fuck's his name? You guys know what I'm talking about. We don't.
Moss. Zach
Sorry,
Moss.
who? No. The Bengals running back last year. He's on the Texans now.
Oh,
You know
yeah.
who I'm talking. Yeah, right. You know what I'm talking about. So I think
Mixon.
he's
No Mixon.
Joe Mixon. Yes, thank you. So I think he's going to play a very similar role to James Conner, like Chase Brown did, where, hey, this guy, rookie, and he gives us a burst, but we have a much better established running back in the room. And I know you got a soft spot for Benson because he's a Florida State guy. But probably the one who's going to have the God, see, because this is tough because I really don't know. I really don't think Jonathan Brooks is going to have an amazing season because while when you said 5 touchdowns, that's it. You think he's going to have a larger workload. You got to remember Chuba Hubbard is still there at running back. Also, Dave Canales, new head coach for the Carolina Panthers, going into Bryce Young's year 2, I feel like with what Dave Canales did with Baker last year, he's going to try to translate something similar to the offense in Carolina. So I actually think the workload is going to go more towards the passing game, especially with Deontay Johnson there now too. I think it's like, okay, now we've got these guys, and Dave Canales is going to try to like instill that faith, that confidence into Bryce Young that Tua got from McDaniel. That we talked about the other day. So I think actually Jonathan Brooks may have a slightly better season than Trey Benson, and that's of course if he comes back from that ACL completely healthy. With Blake Corum, God, see, these 3 guys are just tough to because they both have guys in front of them that are clearly better.
Yeah,
Kyron Williams,
where they were drafted.
Yeah, it really is. And Kyron Williams, I think the Rams went with Blake Corum because Kyron Williams, he's a 7th rounder. Don't get me wrong. He impressed last season, and he was a huge surprise and was one of the key factors in that Rams offense last season that kept him in the playoff hunt, in games. But who knows, man? He might have a fall off. Like if he does have a fall off and Blake Corum is coming in and is able to do Blake Corum things that he did in Michigan, because they would run the ball a lot in Michigan last season with Blake Corum. I think he might have the better season. So there's a lot of like, it depends if this happens and it depends if this happens. James Conner is going to be running back 1. Trey Benson's going to have to sit behind there again, be like a Chase Brown. Jonathan Brooks may have the better stats at the end of the day than all 3 of these guys, but again, that's dependent if he comes back from his injury. And Blake Corum, unless Kyron Williams takes a complete fall off a cliff stats wise, he may also just be like one of those burst guys. So really, at the end of the day, I think I'm going to go Jonathan Brooks. I got to go Blake Corum and then Trey Benson. I really don't think James Conner is gonna give up any touches to Trey Benson, at least meaningful ones.
I kind of feel different, but it's not just that he was at Florida State, but watching him play and seeing just how good he was. I mean, he was really, really good. I mean, if you just watch his highlights, you're like, how is he not gonna? How are they gonna?
I'm going to.
And
I'm going to.
The other thing is, whenever you have a running back that's nearing double-digit seasons, you start to, okay, who's he passing the baton to exactly?
Okay.
And I think that transition happens a lot faster if Trey Benson is playing really well. And the difference is Kyron Williams just was a rookie, so I don't think that's what's going on there. But I think with the Cardinals, you could make the argument that this is kind of part of the plan. And if Trey Benson's proving that he was a great draft pick or even the best running back in this draft, they're going to make that transition pretty quick, I think.
Yeah, I could see that too. Yeah,
you're right about James Conner having a good season last year. So it's going to be tough. If James Conner, it's really all up to James Conner. Like what kind of years he having is going to kind of dictate
100%.
The volume that we get out of Trey Benson. But for the wide receivers, there's 3 I wanted to go over because there's a lot longer list, but I wanted to do these 3. Malik Neighbors, Rome Odunze, and Marvin Harrison Jr. Marvin Harrison because he was the number 1 wide receiver in the draft class, and then your Giants, Bill, and your Bears. So first off, rank these 3. I'm going to rank them before I even read anything, okay?
Oh, okay.
Marvin Harrison Jr. has the best year of any of the wide receivers because Kyler Murray is going to be looking his way very often. Rome Odunze is going to have a really good year, but there's just a lot of options in Chicago, and that's going to be the same thing going on in Houston. Malik Neighbors, it's tough because Daniel Jones is quarterback.
Yeah.
So with the Cardinals and the Bears, you feel a lot more confident in the thrower of the football than you do in New York. But ultimately, Malik Neighbors is just so good that it's hard to see him having a bad year. Kind of like how Justin Jefferson's still a first-round pick, even if you don't know who his quarterback is, or even if it is Sam Darnold. I mean, you get these type of talents that are just so good that they kind of somehow just overcome the mediocre quarterback play. And the Giants haven't had somebody like that in a very long time, since Odell Beckham Jr. So I like all three of them, but I would go Marvin Harrison Jr., Malik Neighbors, and Rome Odunze. And Odunze only third because of Keenan Allen and DJ Moore.
And that was going to be my exact ranking of them as well. Marvin Harrison Jr. With Kyler Murray, a healthy Kyler Murray, hopefully, again, he came back late last season, and you're hoping that he plays this entire season, no problem. That's going to be one of his go-to guys, as well as his tight end, as well as James Conner. But that is going to be Kyler Murray's number one wide receiver this upcoming season. Marvin Harrison Jr., best projected wide receiver coming out of the draft. And I think he's going to play extremely well in the NFL. Again, with Kyler Murray as his quarterback one, which now getting to Malik Neighbors. Not necessarily a guy who's going to benefit from the guy throwing the ball to him, because again, it's Danny Dimes, and the jury is somehow still out on Danny Dimes. But followed by Rome Odunze, exactly to what you said. You got Keenan Allen, you got DJ Moore, you got Cole Kmet, you got DeAndre Swift, who does catch a lot of balls, even as a running back. So that's still going to leave him probably as the fourth, fifth option, really at the best, unless he completely just is on fire for the beginning of the season and they have to get the ball in his hands. But Malik Neighbors is going to be similar to the Justin Jefferson that you talked about. I think he's going to be that good. There was an interview with him during the Giants Hard Knocks offseason, where he was where they asked him a question, I think during the rookie interviews with teams, or how much will it affect you, or what is your attitude towards maybe not being a huge piece of the offense at the beginning of games or the beginning of season, really. And he's like, that would bother me. So he's very, very confident in himself. And you've seen that. And I'm sure Bill has seen that during what's that?
No, I was just saying it could be a bad thing. You see Bill's comment. He's already saying things like Stephon Diggs about not getting the ball. And it's we understand that you're too good to not get the ball, but it seems like the question is, can you be a team player? If you have a game where, we end up winning the game, but for some reason the running game was working really good and the other wide receivers were just, having breakout, can you be okay in that moment? That's the only caveat is I think the great wide receivers, whether it's Devontae Adams, Larry Fitzgerald, they know how to let someone else have their day. Whereas some of these other guys can tend to be a distraction for the team and kind of bring the morale of the locker room down a bit. Hopefully that's not the case, but that's the personality trait that tends to go that way more often than not.
And in New York, that can also kind of elevate things because of the media, things like that, right? And again, all New York Giants fans, Yankees fans, Jets fans, they all know how this goes. Just New York in general, the littlest thing can be elevated by the media. But I still really like that from Malik Neighbors, because maybe it's just the confidence, and I really kind of gravitate towards guys that are very, very, very confident about themselves. Just people in general that are very confident about themselves in terms of athletic ability, because it's man, I want someone like that who isn't going to necessarily be upset or throw a tantrum, but is yo, I think I can be a huge factor in this offense. So the fact that you're not even looking my way in the first half of a game, that's kind of fucked up, and I'm not going to be happy about it, because that means that, hey, I'm trying to get open. I'm an athletic wide receiver. I can get open. I can fucking toss these guys around. Will that attract a lot of, possible double team coverages, things like that on him? Yeah, probably. But like we said, he's probably going to be a Jefferson guy where no matter how many people are covering him, he's going to be open. And then again, back to Rome being third on this list. Totally agree with that. Too many cooks in the kitchen there in the wide receiver room, even tight end wise, for him to be like the number 2 option. But I still think he'll get his catches in there. I think, if we're going stats wise, I think he might get anywhere between 500 to 700 yards receiving this season.
That's what I was thinking. I was thinking around, 600-700.
Yeah.
I think 500 would be a little low just because of where they drafted him.
Yeah.
But
I can see that. I
also think, Keenan Allen could, you hope not, but he could miss some time. You're really,
that's true.
You're really one moment away from Odunze being your wide receiver too.
That is very, very true. And even after the season that Allen had, he's just had a history of injuries. So I remember when we talked about it during before the draft, you're like, I don't know. You're like, should they take a Rome Odunze if they got Keenan Allen? And one of my things was like, hey, Keenan Allen is on a 1-year deal. And in the back of my head, I was like, he's also injury prone, right? Like, so that may be something that they want to look into in terms of getting a legit number 2. They have Tyler Scott there as a deep threat, but not necessarily a number 2 guy. So that's why I'm positive that's why they brought in Rome.
Yeah, I'm really excited to see these guys play, and it's no longer months and months away, but it is.
I know. 2 weeks 2 weeks. Yeah, 2 weeks.
Or 14 days. Ladies and gentlemen, we are 14 days away from the Baltimore Ravens paying the Kansas City Chiefs. And with that said, I think it's
time
for the
motherfucking.
Are those guys okay? Mom, my computer's broken.
The motherfucker blow out trash.
Ladies and it gets me every time, and I know it's coming. My chives is that the Bears are up 27-7 right now on the Kansas City Chiefs. You might be wondering, how did Caleb Williams look? Caleb Williams didn't play, so we don't know. How did Chris Olajuwon look for the Chiefs? He's 9 for 16 for 66 yards and 2 picks, 0 touchdowns.
1 pick six.
1 pick six. The Bears are eating, right? They are undefeated in the preseason. They are stacking dubs. I can't do that. I always awkwardly just like slobber on my. And then the other game going on right now is the Colts, who are up 6 points to the Cincinnati Bengals. I just wanted to make sure I threw that in there. But speaking of the Chiefs, Creed Humphrey has agreed. This news has only been out for a little while, less than an hour. Chiefs have made Creed Humphrey the highest paid center in the NFL.
Wow.
Creed Humphrey agrees to a 4-year, $72 million deal. And after a pair of Pro Bowl selections, 2 Super Bowl victories, Creed Humphrey can add another accolade to his resume, highest paid center in the NFL.
Nice.
He was set to play in the final year of his rookie contract, and he started every game possible since he was taken in the second round in 2021. He's been the starting center for Kansas City in 51 consecutive games to begin his career and all 10 playoff games during his tenure.
Nice.
Humphrey has been a crucial part in shoring up the Chiefs' offensive line in front of Patrick Mahomes and has been a Pro Bowl pick in each of the last 2 seasons, though he's never taken part in the Pro Bowl game because he was too busy winning Super Bowls. I got to say, a lot of times when you have a team that, is go back-to-back Super Bowl champions, we're so quick to, what will we remember about this team? Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce and maybe Chris Jones. But here is literally, no pun intended, the centerpiece, Creed Humphrey. He's been a part of this team all along. He's played every single snap since he was taken in the draft. He's been to 2 Pro Bowls.
Wow.
I mean, these are the type of people that deserve to be the highest paid in their position. He has the stats to back it up. I think Kansas City is very smart, and this common theme. Sean doesn't want to spend all the money, cuts all the players, but spends hundreds of millions of dollars in the offensive line. You got Jim Harbaugh, who decides not to draft Malik Neighbors and get Joe Alt and secure the offensive line. Kyle Shanahan, strong offensive line. Kansas City has consistently had one of the top 5 offensive line in the past since Mahomes took over. And we say, these are the best head coaches in the league. They understand how important the offensive line is. And when you get a guy that is as good as Creed Humphrey is, you got to keep that squad together. You already lost a couple pieces this offseason through free agency, but it seemed like Humphrey was somebody that they were like, he has to stay. We can't get rid of too many pieces, but as long as we have Creed Humphrey, we'll have a good offensive line. I mean, a quarterback center is like his best man. You just need to have that snap right. Jeff Saturday's Peyton Manning. You need that. And Creed Humphrey will go down as Patrick Mahomes is Jeff Saturday.
Yeah, and he started in 2021, so he's been in the league and on the Chiefs for their back-to-back wins. So, like you said, you got to pay those guys in the trenches, and like Bill's saying it here, love it when the trenches get paid, because they do a difficult job that when you look at a team like the Commanders, who are struggling with their offensive line and who just drafted a new quarterback, and even the Bears, who have their holes on the offensive line, you really appreciate those guys when they are 2-time Pro Bowlers and deserve the extension and the money that they get. You really come to appreciate guys like that who are in the trenches, working their asses off and protecting the most valuable position, and that's your quarterback. So, like, I think I said it before. What's that?
Especially that quarterback.
Especially that quarterback. Like, I think I said it once before a while ago, but the quarterback isn't the only one who touches the ball every play. It's also the center. It's got to be that perfect transition from center to quarterback. And when you are that good, like a Jeff Saturday, like you're saying to Peyton Manning, you deserve to be paid. So congrats to Creed Humphrey.
Yeah, and like Bill said, I love when the trenches get paid because, I mean, at least as a wide receiver, I mean, MVP is a quarterback's award. I thought of this because you said quarterback touches, the center touches the ball every snap too. But as like, at least as a wide receiver or a running back, if you have like the greatest season in history, there's an off chance that you could win MVP. Like if you're a center, you've taken this job knowing that there is a 0.000 chance that you win MVP. So, like it's skill positions, there's a fighting chance, or you can win defensive player of the year if you get the most interceptions like Bland did. But center, the offensive line is one of those positions where no one's going to bring you a trophy. No one's going to bring you an award. So I'm happy that the Chiefs brought him a bag of money.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure once, well, hopefully not once, but if the Kansas City Chiefs continue their success in the postseason and, maybe other Super Bowls, whatever, there's a golf cart in it for these guys from Patrick Mahomes.
Not this year. This year, the Chiefs are going 9-8.
Oh, shit.
And they are going to make the playoffs, but they'll be one and done.
Oh, Kyle. And you know who they're going to lose to?
The Broncos in Denver because they won their division.
Kyle is fucking best case scenario Broncos. He is going best case scenario Broncos.
I don't know. Just
I fucking love it.
see. I have conviction when I say all that. I feel bad. All the
Mhm.
other stuff I said today, I didn't feel that. It
What do you
felt
mean?
like, I'm giving you this Chiefs story, and it's like there's a part of me that's like, stop bullshitting, right?
Yeah.
But I'm saying earlier when I was saying all those good things about Bo Nix, I didn't
Mhm.
feel that stop bullshitting voice.
Oh, I see what
You
you're
know,
saying. I see what you're saying. Yeah,
I
yeah.
felt authentic and genuine. So I think the Chiefs probably are going to be really good again, but I think the Broncos will be too. So
Let's go. There you go. There it is.
just like the NFC North, Bears, Packers, Lions, who's going to get out of it? I mean,
Bears are winning the division.
that's tough. I mean, that's right up there at the most difficult division in the game right now.
It's one of
I mean, and then the AFC North, of course, is going to be tough.
yeah.
I think the
AFC North.
NFC West is going to be pretty good. I think Arizona is going to be better than people think. Seattle's going to have a new coach, and that could be a boost in the right direction. And the
True,
Rams and
defense too.
49ers, they're going to be good.
Mhm.
I can't wait for football to start, just so some of these teams I'm predicting to be good cannot be, so I can start clearing some space in my head, because it's like right now I'm pretty high on like 30 of the 32 teams in the
Same.
NFL.
Remember, we were talking about the AFC South, and we're like, the Titans are coming in fourth, but god damn, I love their upside.
Yeah, we're like fans at the 4
Yeah.
position. We're like, dude, I think they could do it.
I don't know. Levis, you got fucking the Calvin Ridley coming in, DeAndre Hopkins, the new
Tony
running back.
Pollard, Joe
Yeah,
Burrow's
Tony-
coach.
Cunning, what's his name? Callahan, the best coach of offensive lineman there's ever been. He's
Best-
there now.
One of the best, L'Jarius Sneed.
L'Jarius Sneed, like we are talking ourselves into teams that we give us not even a second thought to through most of the season. And we're just like, I don't know, if you're a Titans fan, you should be pretty happy about this. So
Yeah.
I feel that. I feel that.
Atlanta too. It's like, gosh,
Hotlanta.
I mean, dude, I just can't wait for the NFL season to start and just like get some sort of like, okay, let's put our stake in the ground somewhere on this measuring stick. We need week 1 to clear this up for us. It is very blurry right now.
Yeah,
No,
KC.
it's very clear, but we're just wrong about a lot of it.
We're going to be so wrong about a lot of it. Casey's like 31 of 32 teams can't all be good.
I know.
That 32nd team, I'm sure Casey is talking about the Raiders, the one that's definitely not going to be good. So we're definitely right there with you, Casey. Although even them, I don't know. No, I'm just kidding.
No, Gardner Minshew, come on.
Yeah, like come on.
Dude, Gardner Minshew, America's quarterback.
You're going to tell me the guy with jorts isn't going to be a Raider? Like this guy's going to go out.
Dude, I saw a video of him warming up to doing his workouts to Creed.
Yeah.
Can you take me?
I saw the same video.
Yeah. I was like, he might be good this year.
I can fuck with Minshew at QB. I can fuck with that. I can totally fuck with that. All right, everybody. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. We appreciate it. Jinja has officially become a member of the Only Football Fan. Thank all of you guys. All of the members. We appreciate all of you guys that are a member here of the Only Football Fam. Obviously, we got Bill. We got our boy Clue, Nash, Chris, Brother T, and Jinja, all part of the Only Football Fam as of today, tonight, whatever. So thank you guys so much for tuning in and becoming members. Remember, we have super chats and memberships up, only $2.99 a month, and you get to be a part of the Only Football Fam with some cool ass emojis of me, Kyle, and Bill and Jinja. So it's good to have this stuff back. It's great to have it back.
It is. I'm so excited for the season to start. I mean, I wish it started today. Is that what you said? You combined today and tonight? Today?
Today. I hope it started today as well. Today on
Nay.
the only football.
I wish it. I can't wait. I mean, we're gonna have really good games right off the bat, and
Yeah,
just
Thursday
thank
night.
everybody
Woo!
for being in here. I mean, we had a pretty good crowd tonight, and the
Mhm,
season's starting to heat up. But
mhm.
you guys that have been with us through the darkest parts of the off season, you are the real MVP. You the real MVP.
You're the real MVP. Thank you guys again for tuning in. Please make sure to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that follow button on X, on YouTube, on Twitch. I don't give a damn needs to be a shirt. Favorite part of the intro, Bill said. But please make sure to follow us. You could follow me on X at and now Rick. Go follow my YouTube at Yo I'm Rick. Kyle, where can they follow you on X?
You can follow me right here. Actually, I'll just tell you that's not it. NFL with Kyle. NFL with Kyle, and you can check out my personal stuff on YouTube at Kyle Kitzman. We were talking about the Ravens earlier. I interviewed a Ravens fan yesterday, a diehard Ravens fan, and I thought it went really well.
Wow, I'm gonna check that out. Check that out.
I asked some really tough questions, like, how do you have hope that you're going to make it to a Super Bowl if last year you had an MVP quarterback, won the AFC's first seed, and then we're one and done? Like, where do you go from here?
You could tell Kyle was pissed. Like, gotcha, ass.
I opened up that way. I was
That's
like,
hilarious.
where do you go from here? Like, how do you restart that engine? I'm just curious. So,
What a dick move.
no, I did it very respectfully.
I love it. I love it.
Very respectfully. So, but I did tell him I hate the Ravens.
I'm glad you opened up with that because Kyle's like, so you got an MVP, you guys got number 1 seed, but no Super Bowl. That's so wild. How do you do that? I love it.
Do you do that? I mean, 2012, it took a Mile High miracle for you to get one. It's like, that was our second Super Bowl. Don't care.
Don't care. Didn't happen. Never happened.
Yeah.
All right.
But yeah, guys, thank you for tuning in.
Yep.
And by this time on Monday, we'll be talking about the Broncos and Bo Nix. Do you think he plays this weekend?
Yeah, now that he's a starter, I think he gets the first series and that's it.
He got the first series last week.
Okay, so I think he definitely gets it. I think he definitely gets it.
They haven't announced anything yet. I'm wondering what they're going to do. I figured maybe they've seen enough, but hey, we're 2-0, just like the Bears.
That's right. Bears are going to be about to be 4-0. Win number 4. One more win. One more win, and I get to wear Bears gear again, everybody. I get to wear Bears gear again, and I've got some awesome stuff planned too.
I can't wait. And the Bills Giants, he's going to get to see them play their little brother Saturday at 6:30. The Jets, the Giants' little brothers, are coming in. I guess no one's coming into town, but they're just in town because they play in the same stadium.
Crafty asks, what if the Bears and Broncos meet in the Super Bowl? I think we talked about it on Monday. That would be
it'd be tough.
It would be a tough post-game analysis.
It would be
somebody's got to lose.
It would be a historical stream.
Yeah. Sure. It would be terrible.
The internet was made for that moment, actually.
And then Embrace said, unlikely, but anything is possible.
Why'd you have to throw that in there? You don't need to tell Rick that the Bears probably won't make it.
Way to shatter our dreams, E-Dub. Appreciate that. But again, thank you guys so much for being here. And Bill, always a great steward of the Only Football podcast. Everyone shows up at the end. Memberships are back, everyone.
He's like, where was all of this stimulation in the chat? It was just Jinja telling Rick how sexy his OnlyFans will be.
That's true.
It
is going to be hot. It is going to be a very, very hot OnlyFans. Thank you guys again so much. Oh, and Bill gifted another membership. Let's go. Oh, and he got it for the Hurricane. The Hurricane. Hurricane is here sometimes.
Yeah.
And yeah, I was going to, and Bill said it. Hurricane, at least he shows up. He does. So that's good. I'm glad you got that one there.
A hurricane. Here I am. Rock me like a hurricane. Congratulations, Hurricane, for becoming a member of the Only Football Fam. I felt Ginger had a comment earlier that was like Only Football Fan, and I was like, oh my god, that should have been it, because we started this because Only Football sounds like Only Fan.
Only Fans, yeah.
So we should put a poll out. What do you guys think about Only Football Fans?
Is this one OFF, Only Football Family, Only Football Fans? Oh, I like that. I like that.
I didn't even consider that, but when I saw it, I was like, fuck.
Damn it, Ginger. Why weren't you here
before? Yeah.
Why was it between that and Muhammad?
Why the fuck? Whatever we call ourselves, we're happy that you guys are here with us. So thank you guys for watching. Mm-hmm. Can't wait till Monday.
Cannot wait until Monday when we are back here on the Only Football Podcast. Kyle, always a good time, brother.
Always a good time.
See ya.